Welcome to the Rare Agent Show. I'm Dylan Tanaka, a realtor, mentor, and author. This podcast is dedicated to helping real estate agents like you close more deals so that you can live the life you always dreamed of. Every week, my guests and I share the stories, strategies, and tools you need to inspire and empower you. Let's make it happen. What's up, world? I'm Dylan Tanaka, and I'm here with another episode with my great friend, Zaid Kassab. How are you today, Zaid?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Super excited to get you here. We're going to have an amazing show. Zaid has a ton of information and gold nuggets packed, ready for you guys to deliver to you so you can get to the next level in your real estate agent business. So I always love to start the show and talk about how you start your day, Zaid. So how do you start each morning?
Usually I would love to first thing in workout, or doesn't have to be going to the gym, running outside or just some stretching. That's my best morning. And then you go from there. If I need to take shower, if I need to do anything. And then I have two kids, so little ones. After that, just if I need to drop them, I need to do anything with the family and then just hit my day, get to the business.
Something I ask all my guests, how do you take your coffee in the morning?
Nowadays, I start to drink coffee in the morning, like the couple hours when I wake up. But usually I take it more toward the noon time, just like a break or wake up. But I almost like no sugar.
Now I know every guest I have on my show, I find out how they take their coffee or maybe even tea. So that way, when I go and see them, or if they're in another state, I can always sneak and send them a special gift. Why don't you take 2 minutes and just talk about yourself, where you came from, a little bit about where you're at in business today, and then we'll get a little bit deeper into your story.
I came to the state almost 10 years ago, almost in the United States, almost 10 years, 11 years. And then came to complete my master's degree. And then after that, I supposed to be in the corporation, in healthcare or maybe administration level, stuff like that. But somehow as I got temporary work in a retail store, I couldn't imagine myself doing that. And I started reading books about investing in real estate. And that's when slowly but surely I got to being an investor and started to be a full-time investor. And then when I moved to Michigan, that's when I told myself, let me just take advantage and be agent as well. So I'm full-time agent and also full-time investor.
When you got started, you were more focused on investing, right? Same story for me. A lot of the guys and girls that we hang out with, they were investors first, or they still invest, and we'll get deeper into that. But I guess you touched on something that I have talked about for a long time. So you started as an investor, but you ended up getting your license.
Yes.
That was primarily for your own investment business with you, your partners, whoever you're doing deals with. How did you, or what changed in you to where you started focusing on a little bit more agent work?
It's interesting how to be honest, in the beginning, I wasn't thinking about too much. And I was one of these guys, they say, maybe just an access for MLS or something, save some commission. But it's apparently I don't want to say I'm good, but I like networking, talking to people in general. Even like sometimes when I go with my partners, we go to a Middle Eastern food restaurant. You find like this guy is like saying hi or whatever it is. He says, okay, are you famous? I'm like, I'm not famous. I just know some people here and there, and I'm not shy to say hi to people. But so literally after I got my license, which is, I remember October, and I got a buyer.
October of what year?
2018. Right away, I got a buyer from the community that I know. And I started to post on social media. And then the florist or the girl that she did the wedding, she in the florist or whatever this stuff. And she called me, she said, my relative, they listed their house on market for almost 6 months, spring and summer, didn't sell. I know you just got your license, but I know you be in the risk set. So can you check it out? And that was my first listing, and I sold it in the winter, in the worst timing in Michigan. And that's when I figured out, I have some skills. And then I kept getting the business without doing, and it's just me talking to people. And I try to provide value. And I tell people like, hey, this is what I believe, but I'll do whatever you want. But don't blame me after doing it. Just, this is exactly. I think sometimes agents, they fear to say what they should say. So that's what kind of gave me the opportunity to be more shining in or better doing this business. So that's how I feel about it.
That first year, or at least the first year when you were licensed, then you fell into some transactions, which is a lot different for an agent than it is as an investor, right? Because you're playing a different role. When we're investors, we're looking at the gutters and we're figuring out how long a roof is going to be good for, and we're making financial decisions. As an agent, technically, we're really just supposed to help guide them, right? So it's a little bit tough. And Zaid's known as a hybrid agent. I'm known as a hybrid agent, which means that we both invest and we work the retail world. So you have to learn how to put that wall up so that you're being the best agent for the client, because our goal is to help them do what they want. Make good decisions, of course. We don't let them make bad decisions, but the decisions they make sometimes are going to be different than decisions we make as investors. And even when we buy our own homes, a lot of times we're going to make a different decision than we would if we were just going to invest. But going back to that in the very beginning, what was your biggest challenge in those first few transactions, transitioning from 100% investor mindset to now I am going to be an agent for the florist's aunt or whoever it was that couldn't sell her house?
What you said on point, to be honest, and I really went through it. That was kind of problem for me in the beginning. Of course, not anymore. And after the first 6 months or half of a year, basically I was as an investor from how it should be listed, how it should be priced, or how it should be things that need to be done. We tend to do it anyway. We're more aggressive. So in the beginning, I forgot I'm presenting. Another thing I was not taking, it happened to me, but it just I can't remember the incident, but I remember that it happened where I assumed things or just the standard logic. Okay. And that was the kind of another thing that never ever assume, even if it's logic. I just have to talk to the client even about little things, okay? Like, for example, scheduling showings or time for scheduling showings, or the way you should, in little details when you're agent. I was like, I'll make it open from 9 to 9 p.m. whenever they schedule. No, I have to take permission and consent and making sure, confirming each step with the client. Of course, there is element into that. I wasn't when I first joined, I joined with a brokerage that's just local. There's no agents, just a buddy that I know that he helped me a lot. There's no any coaching, any training, any professionalism, in doing team level, high end, not high volume or really professional. So it was just, hey, this is the basic and left me alone. And then I switched to brokers, switched teams, and then I started to know more. So that's one of the biggest challenge for me. And also the other challenge is just as an investor, because we do buy and sell a lot, I going through contracts and explaining to the client and kind of translating and explaining and all that stuff, presenting. So it's just a different level. So I have to speak a language for that. I have to know how to explain things. So that's another kind of challenge it was for me. But other than that, from the technique of selling negotiation, it wasn't that hard because I felt I already have the basic as an investor.
Yeah, I think when we come in as investors, the transactions, in my opinion, are typically a bit more difficult. We're bringing all the cash most times or the investment to purchase it.
Exactly.
We have to do the remodeling. We have to know what the exit strategies are. When we're working as agents, we really have one goal, and that's to make the client happy for whatever they want to do. So I want to actually fast forward and then fill in the middle, Zaid. So I know that you're doing 20, 30 transactions a year in retail right now and hoping to do more, but somewhere in that number. So going from that first transaction to now doing more than probably 95% of the other real estate agents out there, not including all the other investing you're doing, which we'll talk about later. What's the biggest change that you had going from that first deal where you really didn't know how to be an agent properly to today? When you step into a conversation with someone and they say, Zaid, I would like you to list my home. So where's your mind at today when somebody says that, the systems you have set up, the processes for that, versus in the very beginning, you're just juggling a bunch of stuff and you have a broker who's an old friend and you just don't have any of that structure. So what's it like now for you?
Yeah, as I switched brokers, switched teams, and they're all good. It's all about you find the right environment, the right
what's
team
best for you?
the best for me. I just I start as much as I can attend meetings, events, coaching programs. I remember like after we hit with the COVID and pandemic, it just I switched off for a second. So I got into the business end of 2018, then full year, a year and something. And then right away we hit it with the COVID pandemic. So that pandemic, COVID, like lockdown timing, okay, it was actually a good thing for me as personal and business because it got me to slow down a little bit and then just focus on me, improving me. Let me say. So I started to learn more being professional, how to do comms as appraisal, think about how appraisal they do it, how I should list it better. Okay. So in the beginning, I used to use my cell phone and just take pictures. Now I have professional photographer, I have professional stager. I have some context that if a property to be just shaped better or tune up. And now I print my package and just not a fancy one, but just enough to talk with whoever I'm going to work with. The other thing, I wasn't patient enough. That's one of the kind of the biggest, I think, mistake for me. I want a quick transaction. Mm-hmm. I wanted quick transactions. And the other thing, with time, I learned how to be patient, especially with buyers. Okay. And I know something is not going to work. I used to tell them, this is not going to work. This offer is not going to work. The term is not going to work. I right away tell them my opinion. While then I learned how to let them see the property, let them emotionally engage. And I know even if it's in a competitive market, that's not going to work. But I learned to let them feel and experience doesn't work by themselves instead me only telling them. Now they're going to believe. So maybe not this first one or second one, third offer or whatever the experience. Now they're going to follow my instructions or follow my guidance, let's say, and we're going to nail it. So that's another thing that I experienced and I learned a lot from that. So yeah, so many things that nowadays I used to, one of the things that I lower commission or be flexible, I don't want to be saying being cheap, but being whatever it takes to do the transaction. Sure. That's another big lesson for me, especially for you guys as whether new agents or whatever. I see the people that new agents, you maybe take whatever it takes in the beginning, but when I talk to some of the agents, they be in the business 5 and 10 years, they still do whatever it takes to do a transaction. They don't have a special, unique proposition or unique
You're talking
value.
About they're discounting their commission typically.
Even quality of listing or doing business. So after that, I started not to do any rental tenants or leasing. And then I limited myself from a buyer standpoint. I don't do just any buyer. Okay. And also listing, I have a standards, whatever I want to do. I have, of course, there are special cases, but I don't do if I'm not getting the commission that I want, or if the sequences doesn't, or the consequences, or whatever the situation, what I meant, it doesn't give me the way I want to do it. I used to lower the standard. Mm-hmm. That's something else that I don't do it anymore. Like in the last 2-3 years, always professional pictures, professional listing, professional marketing, whether it's good listing or bad listing, good location or not. It's a lower prices rate or higher price, whatever it is. So that's another thing. I just put a standard for the way I do my business, whatever it is, whatever client or transaction that I'm dealing with.
Sure. No, that makes a ton of sense. A big part of the show and the nation is, for me, I want to help agents get to that next level. And let's face it, 80 to 90% of agents out there don't even hit their cap. If you're new to real estate or don't know what I'm talking about, your cap typically means there's a certain percentage and amount of money that you pay to your brokerage every year until you hit that cap where now you're at 100% commission. So everyone who's listening and watching this should probably know what that is, but that's really what my goal is, to help more agents hit their cap, and then go way beyond that. Zaid, what's your best advice for a brand new agent who maybe hasn't even had their first commission yet? If you're going to sit down with them and have coffee, what is the first steps that you're going to tell them to take to start having some success?
There's a couple ways, but I'll focus on if you really want it to be like, this is your full gig, your full-time thing, and this is like all what you do, and you want to be the best of the best. One of the first thing is find the right team, find the right environment, find the team that hold you back and coach or train you. That's one of the things you should do in the beginning. Follow who already did it and just do it and be consistent on doing it. The other thing is just apparently this is business where or industry where the more you, what they say, like outreach, the more you reach people or the more contact people, connect with people, the more you're going to get business. So if you're secret agent or you're hiding, this is not the business for you. So as I said in the beginning or earlier, I like to talk with people. Like whenever I go to the church, like even wedding, we have wedding next week. It's just, I want to talk with as much as people I know. I want to get to know people as much as I can know, because it's, if you nurture and build that relationship with them and just show them that you're not talking to them to see them as a transaction, talk to them as a human being, build a relationship. Somehow when they need help in buying, selling, or just in general in life, they remember you. That's the number one. So one of the advice is just, when you get your license, just first of all, tell everyone that your license, your agent, post on your social media, switch the status or whatever it is, your agent, and then post about your showings, your events, your daily activity. That just to see you, they see you that you're agent, they remember you that you're agent. And also the other thing, sphere of influence, start with sphere of influence and people that okay, just call them and check on, just build a deeper relationship with them. And eventually they're going to turn to a business and transaction. The third thing is free thing is just to attend as much like I did, especially as an investor. As later on, I target more investors clients or out of state investor client, especially that we're in a market that's really great from cash flow and
complements it.
All that stuff versus California or whatever it is, or other places. Some investor, they have some cash, they want to buy properties for cheaper, better cash flow. So I start to be that agent that other people refer me to. So pick your kind of niche or your unique spot to start push that agenda or push that, market that as you're the best buyer agent, you're the best listing agent, you're the best hybrid agent or investor friendly, or whatever it is. So start doing that. In the beginning, you're lost, you don't know that, but as you do that, start figure out where you're going with this, what's the best thing you can do in this industry. Don't be the everything you can, but you're gonna lose the ability to scale better.
Let me break those down. So number one, you said you need to be on the right team or in the right company and be coachable basically, and get together with people who've already done what you want to do, because they call it standing on the shoulders of giants. If you want to be taller than the giants, you got to stand on their shoulders, and there's people out there who will help you, whether it's paid coaching, whether it's just mentors that you can find because you're willing to give back and do other things with them. But getting around people who are going to help push you and hold you accountable, super important. Number two, you said you need to not be shy and get out there and start talking to people. And this is retail real estate. I'm not talking about the commercial stuff and apartment buildings and developing shopping centers. You don't have to be very friendly or even nice to be in that business. And that's okay, right? But as a retail real estate agent, if you want to have success, you've got to be a people person because you got to talk to people.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to talk to people, who are you going to get as clients? Even if you're going to buy leads, you still have to learn how to make friends. So you said reaching out to more people and talking to them. And then number three really was finding a niche or a niche, however you want to say that. I say niche. I'm from Detroit, right? So really what Zaid is saying is, as he's known as a hybrid agent, that means that he's an investor, but he also works with investors also. So that's his niche. He's not doing luxury. I'm not doing luxury. I'm an investor. I'm always going to be seen as an investor. I speak the same language as investors do, right? So they're more comfortable with me, but I've been through a lot of those transactions. So then when that person comes to me or comes to Zaid and they want to work with us and we're just the agent, because sometimes you are just the agent because there's ways to make money like that, but they're going to feel comfortable because they're going to say, wait a minute, you've bought and sold hundreds of properties also. You're the kind of guy or you're the kind of girl that I want to work with. So I think those are 3 great things for newer agents. But my real focus, Zaid, is taking those agents who are doing like maybe a listing or they're representing a buyer, say once every other month. So they're doing like 6 deals a year, but we need to get them to 12 deals a year. So they're hitting that goal, they're capping, they're now at 100% commission. And it's really hard to go from 6 deals to 30 or 40, probably, right? For the most part. Now, if you're doing really low end stuff, that's different, but we're talking about regular listings. Average listing price, just say 300,000 in or somewhere, anywhere around this country, right? So if somebody wants to get from that 6 to 12, and that's what I love to help agents do, what is your best advice for those guys and gals who are already doing business, but we just need to double it?
For new agents or for the people that are already in the business and they want to double the business, they want to reach you where they're capping all the time. This business, if you don't really connect and call people and prospect, is just almost dead. So it depends on the way you prospect. Is only friends, sphere of influence, working events, social media, and all that stuff, or you're gonna get leads and convert leads and just calling and do all that stuff. Thank you. It just depends on the way you do it. I started till recently. I just do the sphere of influence, as much I can connect and network and reach people and connect with people and just build a relationship, and I can push them to do business. That's what's my focus. Now start to switch and open up to basically the basic of real estate or doing real estate is just doing prospecting, calling as much as you can.
Sure.
It's a list of people, whether they're a stranger or you know them, and then you find ways of helping them, and you just keep connecting them. So whenever they think about something or they are out of sudden their distress situation, literally, we just went to a lady, just got her house burned out. Imagine if we didn't reach out through our calling, we wouldn't know about it.
Sure.
So out of sudden, it's a coincidence, same time. I'm like, okay, can I, maybe it's not going to work. It's the word. It's just tough situation, but how we can help.
The more connections you make, the better chance you're going to have of doing business. So it has a specific community that he's part of, here, and he's lucky for that. So he belongs to a specific church. They have a lot of different events. He goes to a lot of weddings. Some people don't have all those options, right? But guys, SOI, your sphere of influence, is the easiest thing for you to market. It's basically free.
Yeah.
You might have to spend a couple bucks doing some send out cards or calling people on the phone or texting them or just saying hi. Your friends and family and people you've done business with and people you've worked with before, it's 100% free. You just have to get over that. Some of us are lacking the confidence to reach out. But Zaid said, if you're already in the business and you guys are doing 6, 8, 9 listings, maybe 12 listings a year, but we want to get that to that double that number, you got to get in front of more people. Mm-hmm. And I think you just have to have that confidence in yourself that you know what you're doing. You've already done transactions. You're not a newbie anymore. You've already had success. You just have to have a little bit more success. So I think that's really easy to do. And Zaid almost jumped ahead. So now going from those people who are capping, who are doing 12 or 15 deals a year, how do we get that now up to that 30? Because you've been able to jump from doing no deals to being a capper to basically, like I said, breaking through ceilings that most other agents don't. So what is different between 12 deals and 30 deals a year?
The way I see it is just what works for me, because I'm also a full-time investor. Right now we're closing on condominium complex. We just closed on another apartment building. So there's other stuff that's amazing. I do. I just don't. And plus we have the flip business and we have our own rental portfolio. So there's a lot of going on.
That's why agents need to listen to you, because you're doing more business than most agents and you have 3 other parts of the business going.
Imagine if I don't have all that, I would do definitely I'd go all the way being agent and just focus on volume. So I learned how to gain business without too much kind of efforts, because I focus on how I can add value. That's the recently like what I've done. So one of the things I want to mention about doubling is, again, back to the where you want to focus. Doubling, that means scaling. That means you want to focus on like one tab you're the best at. So for example, are you a guy that wake up in the early morning and learn how to do the dialogue and script and just call all these expired FISBO, owner absentee, or call all these? One of the things that I learned is you can call all for list for rent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
And just talk to them. Hey, have you leased this place? And then you start from there and then just build a relationship with them, because eventually they're an investor and one day they're going to resell, whether in distress situation or not. So if you build a relationship with these landlords, you're like even when they're out there not selling, but when you reach them or you connect with them and then you build a relationship, now it's possibility for you to list there.
And they're always buying.
They're always buying. Yeah, exactly. So the other way of here, hey, okay, so are you buying another one or whatever it is? So that's one way. And the other way, just buy leads and keep nurturing them and just be out there in the social media and be there. Because another thing now, because I'm part of masterminds and nationwide as a multifamily investor, and now other people from other states, some people, they know me as I'm an agent investor. So every time they think about someone is buying in Michigan, selling from Michigan, investing in Michigan, they refer me. So that's another thing. I would say 50-60% of my businesses are referral.
That's
and even
huge.
Literally, I don't work for it. Right. And there's special ways where maybe we get expose secrets about how I do it, especially with investors as well.
We'll get into your secret before we go. We still have some time here. So you guys have heard a lot about where Zaid started and where he's been through as far as the retail world and some of the investing we'll talk about right before we end. But where, I guess for us, like where are you going with your retail business over the next 24 months? What's your plan or your goals?
As real estate business is changing and the market is shifting or changing, economy is changing, okay, which is all the time, but especially nowadays with the AI and the chat GPT, with everything intelligent and all that stuff, we have to change as well. So I'm just being focused on more putting force into the prospecting and converting leads. Okay, and then nurturing type of thing. I don't rely about just a referral also, and just trying to build my own system, my own prospecting, all that stuff.
It's definitely a major tool, and if you're afraid of it, you're going to get left in the dust. You still have to be intelligent. You still have to know how to do things as a human. But if you can use that tool, it's just when Henry Ford, I guess he invented the automobiles. You guys can argue about that. There's other people who helped. There's not a horse and buggy anymore, right? There's an automobile.
Yeah.
So the people who didn't want to change, how long did it take them to get from point A to point B?
Yeah.
And even though we're not like super young, I think I'm young, but even though we're not in our early 20s, right? We know that the world's changing and we have to change with it in business because it's going to make us better business people, entrepreneurs, agents, brokers, all the above. And we're going to be able to do better jobs for our clients also. Yeah. So I think AI is absolutely huge, and I'm excited that you're diving more into that. It's awesome to hear somebody's backstory, right? And see kind of what makes them tick and really where they want to go next. So why don't you tell us shortly, don't talk too long because we're going to start talking about investing. So it's a problem for both of us, but why don't you give us a quick story of your most recent successful investment deal, whether that was residential or if that was commercial or whatever it was.
The most successful one is the one when I help investors find deals. Of course, I'm there finding deals for me, but as I do it, I do for others. One of the things that I find, let me prime a little bit. I find one of the things that clients or investors, especially the beginners, okay, they give up too soon or they don't want to dig in too much and they feel like it's just not going to work. It's really the fruits or the rewards or you're going to find as much you dig in, as much you try, as much you get somewhere. But if you want to see the result from like beginning, it's just not going to work. Long story short, I have a client who just started, okay, in buying just one single family, and then the next thing they want to go just a higher level better. So we got the 2 units. Okay. It was a good deal. Actually, we got it like a little bit low, the appraisal value. And just there is another deal. Usually when especially on investor, I not only set the search for them and just let them contact me, I also set the search for me and I check what they're looking. So I know each one, like I have 5, 6, 7 people and I know each one of they're looking. So I always look for them with them. Okay. And then, so I found this deal. I have that listing, 2 units listing, and it was on market for a while, then got under contract. And then the next thing, like, give up and you don't.
Sure.
So I contact because 2 units, the way he wants is, I don't want to say rare, but it's not.
You guys have
much.
to pay. I know this story, I think. So you guys pay attention to this because this is going to tell you why you don't give up. And this is on a retail deal.
Yes. And so I called the agent. I told her, so you guys got under contract. How you think is a solid one? She said, yeah, we just got under contract. So still in the inspection. So I told her, whenever you get out of contract, fall apart, before you do that, just call me. I text her, I emailed her so she remind me. Then not even a few weeks later, she called me. She said, before I get back on market, do you wanna get your buyer? So I contact my buyer. My buyer wasn't too much excited because it just all these questions, why it hasn't been sold, why it fall apart, and all these questions. So I handled the objections.
This is where sales comes in. Not that you're tricking people, but you're overcoming all those objections as to why this may have happened.
He started to tell me what's happened with it. They send a report, whatever it is. Let's not worry about what happened. Let's worry about how we handle it. Once let's get to the inspection, and worst case scenario, we just get out of control. We have the inspection contingency. So it costs you really the inspector, but that's when you figure things out. Long story short, from getting under contract close to 140, okay, and it was listed just above that. So get under contract 140. And then we ended up, after negotiation back and forth, and I'm really good in negotiating when it comes to inspection, because I just don't send a sentence or an addendum saying, produce a price, whatever. I'm basing my, and then you have to help the
other agent sell their client. Yeah. Because guys, listen, most agents are lazy. They don't understand sales and they really just want to get the deal done.
This comes from, to be honest, I took the inspection course, and I'm technically on paper an inspector, but I like
That's
to do
amazing.
things. I'm literally a certified inspector, but I never practiced, just for knowledge. Absolutely. And also, as well, it comes from inspector, being investor.
Of course.
So I have the experience of how to negotiate with comes to inspector as an investor. So I use these skills as agents as well. So I think we end up after negotiating, I reduced to almost $9,000. And so we're almost 131. And then when it got appraised, now 1 unit is almost mint shape. It's clean, beautiful, nice, doesn't need anything. The other units have rough shape or rough tenant, and some of the exterior work as well. So this is the really kind of the golden nugget. It came as appraised for 164.
You're working with an investor buyer who you probably knew outside of real estate, I'm sure. So you're working with an investor buyer. You got him 25, 30 extra thousand in equity.
Yes.
He's going to buy again for sure. He already bought again. He's going to sell at some point. He's more of a landlord than a flipper, but you never know. Yeah. And he can refer you out. So just working with that one investor has already put multiple transactions together for you. Because you called that agent, though. That's what I want everybody to think about. Because Zaid called that agent and said, hey, if your deal falls apart, because I hate when they call me and say that too, but you have to do it. If that deal falls apart, call Zaid. Call me, because I'm going to come in and make it an easy deal for you, and I'll bring an offer right away.
Another example is where you build a relationship with other agents. Which I have no idea why some of the agents, they make enemies of other agents. That's where you should think about the long term.
I'm guilty. I used to do that back in the day when I was only investing, and I was always an agent and a broker at that time, but I was adversarial instead of being friendly. And now I'm friendly because it's a lot easier to do business.
Yeah. I all the time, especially when agents, they're listing investment properties or kind of distressed property or multi-family units, like 2 to 4 bedroom, 4 units, stuff like that. So I always go further in the conversation. Just don't call them about their listing. I kind of build a relationship and then get to know them and then tell them, hey, I have a bunch of clients. They're looking for these type of properties. Anything, keep me.
Is there any real estate you know about that I should know about? It's a question you should ask at the end of every conversation, because that's when things just happen as an investor or as an agent.
Recently, another client who literally it's one of the deals I told you about is where I was talking to someone and he's an electrician and basically he does some work for our properties, and we were talking about real estate and he was telling me about he got 2 rentals, and in the same time I have a bunch of clients and investors they're looking. So we went back and forth conversation. I told him, can we check it out? I'm not going to tell you, hey, this is a sell. Just check it out if it works. And then we just worked out the same seller and the same buyer buying the 2 properties. And it went through, with no kind of hustle.
Sure.
Of course, doing this transaction. But my point is, it's just doing that, gaining like almost full commission. Of course, I gave a little break on because I'm the dual agent also. I know them both. So something like that.
Sure.
Okay. And getting $10,000, $15,000 commission for doing these stuff.
Right.
As you build your business, build your relationship, and then you have that unique value that you add all the time. People know about you all the time. And just you start going to get business.
You're going to make more people happy, which means you're going to do more business. So we're coming down to close to the end of the show. So for everybody who's listening and gotten this absolute masterclass from you, Zaid, what is your number? I don't care if it's investing or being an agent or a dad or a friend, but what is your number one secret to success right now in life?
Being consistent. There's nothing really like super secret in this business, not waiting for the business. That's just, and whatever we talked about. But one of the things that always find a way that you do it differently also than others. One of the things that I do with especially investors, I do it in general, but investors just more unique because investors, it's all about numbers, return, and there's not a lot of emotional. So it just works better. Typical realtor, when a buyer, especially investor buyer, reach out or contact you or tell you, hey, I'm looking forward to buy a property, investment property. The first thing you do after the pre-approval, you make sure that they're good from financial or funding standpoint. You start showing them houses, maybe showing them 5, 10, whatever it is. This is, for me, is the last thing. I don't start showing houses. So first thing I do, kind of strategy call or strategy meeting. Okay. And it's not about the typical discovery call where you do it for buyers. When you're looking to move, when you're looking in motivation and all that stuff. No, it's all about, I want to know you as how are you thinking as an investor?
Yeah.
So I want to know what's your plan? What's your goal? Where are you going with this? Why are you doing this? Okay. Is this just to like something to, instead just your money being with the inflation and all that stuff? Is this your goal, your exit strategy, your retirement? Where are you going with this? Okay. So I can help you further. The other question that I ask further is also, I want to see how you're going to do how you're going to be as a landlord, as an investor. So are you going to manage it by yourself? Are you going to hire property management? Is this like one thing time, or it's as you save some money, you're going to put in the investments? It's just how I keep going. Is some people, they made enough money and they have $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, whatever it is. They want to invest. It's like when you want to look for that one type of deal, or we're going to do, okay, let's find what type of deals, what type of investment, what type of location, what type of return, what type of, for example, tenants, location, area, you're doing it with property management, without property management, all these details. So I go through that. That's about like maybe half hour and 45 minutes. Sometimes just go further because it's about now friends. We're friends talking.
Right, having communication.
So that's the first. Second thing is actually also not showing houses. Maybe I'll do a couple times just to show that it's a part of instead just meeting Zoom call or for a coffee or something. showing them houses is just another way of meeting them.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
so now I start coach them and teach them, especially if they're newbies, how to underwrite or analyze a deal. Is it good or bad investors? Because here's the thing, especially newbies, they don't know that much,
Right.
and they figure out, let's see the house to see if figure out. I don't need to see the house. I can figure it out where I'm sitting right
On
now.
paper,
I figure it out if it's going to work for me. So I want to guide them, teach them how to do that as well. So instead, I don't want to say wasting time, but instead doing that for, oh, I thought this got some like that or whatever. By the end of the day, there's 4 walls and a roof. Some of them basement to no basement, some of them garage to no basement, but all the houses got kitchen, all that stuff. It just doesn't work from the way you see it online or the details you get or the pictures. It doesn't work with the numbers that you think it should work with the logic that you're thinking about. Does it work or not? Once you find out the bottom line, it works or not, let's talk. If it doesn't work, how we can make it work? And if it's the seller or whoever it is, like they're stuck in their, whatever the price, whatever stuff. So it doesn't work. Don't try to make it work.
Sure, don't force it.
Don't force it, So find something what works for you. Don't make it, if something doesn't work, force it to make it work. So basically, what I learned is doing this is start to really, basically I'm putting less force. I'm making more money, and also I'm adding value, because some people, they think, oh, you're just being lazy. No, you're in this event, what I translate myself or I switch myself, you, Mr. Client, investor, newbies, instead of paying $10,000 or $10,000, whatever it's like that amount of money to learn, to do coaching and to be a part of training, coaching, and lots of stuff, you're getting all that for free. Okay, so actually I'm doing a favor for them and I'm not charging them anything. All what I'm doing, adding value, and I want to continue their continuous business.
You're teaching them something that if they're paying attention, they're going to know forever. So it's like the old saying, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man a fish, he eats for a lifetime. So that's amazing.
And here's another thing. And if it doesn't work for them, or it doesn't work for me, I want to see 10, 20, all that stuff. So in my case, this is not the right client for me.
Sure.
That's how I'm being selective.
Yeah. And that goes along with building your client list and having people that you want to work with instead of
client,
have to work
quality
with.
of.
If you're not already following Zaid, if you scroll below, you're going to see in the show notes how to follow him on all of his different social channels. It's been really great having you here. We truly appreciate it. We're all better because of it. And is there any last words you have for our audience?
Just want to, first of all, thank you so much for having me. We got to know each other a while ago, and you helped me through a lot of times. This is awesome what you're building.
I'm excited to see what happens in the future for you, and we'll see you guys on the next show.
Thanks for listening to the Rare Agent Show. I hope you got as much value out of this episode as I loved bringing it to you. If you're ready for more, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And don't forget to join our free Facebook group, Closings from Leads. It's a community where agents like you are connecting, sharing strategies, and getting exclusive resources to close more deals. You can find the link in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there. Until next time, keep it rare and keep it real.